How's it going, everyone? It's Marshall. Thanks for tuning into the show. Very special show here. We've just wrapped with NAMM. I personally did not attend, but, you know, I'm always taking a look at all the videos that come out during this time, getting all excited, drooling over the new gear, and etc. And we have quite a few things that were announced this year. And I have a special guest with me. His name is Mr. CowFood. Say hi, say hi, Mr. CowFood. Not how, you're not Indian.
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
Hey.
How's it going?
Mr. CowFood's one of my subscribers, one of the early guys that would join me in the live streams late at night. And I had him on a while back talking about, I think, some Behringer stuff a few months back.
Yeah, the Behringer D
yep.
is what we kind of covered.
Yep, so I've asked him to come. Stuff. Yeah, I've asked him to come back on the show here and provide some of his feedback for some of these new products that have come out at NAMM this year. And yeah, we have a nice little screenshot for you there, CowFood. Looks like there's a cow that's eating some grass.
That's pretty much exactly what sums me up.
That's perfect, I think.
Thanks.
So first of all, I think we're going to kind of go through some of the heavy hitters, some of the big standouts in terms of what came out this year. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the Korg Prologue. And we'll get that set up here. And I'm just going to play a little bit of the demo video that's on the Korg website. I'll have links to all this stuff in the video description if you guys are interested in checking any of that out. Did I mute the sound? I think I did. There we go. Some Prologue goodness. It sounds really good, I think. So anyway, I will mute that for now. And yeah, so the Prologue, CowFood, initial thoughts on this product?
A great live performance synthesizer as an alternative to a Nord lead. I'm laying it all out right away. That's sort of how I'm going to say it as it stands now. And yeah, that's where I'll start off with that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Marshall?
I think that, again, I think it sounds awesome. I think that it takes the Minilog format and the monologue and the Minilog and kind of builds on that. And this is something that I would have expected, actually, as the next logical step in this. But I feel that it's missing some very standard features that you would find in a synthesizer with this price point, which is about $2,000 for the full-size 16-voice 61-key version. And so in that regard, I really love the sound of this thing. I just think that for the price, it's not where it needs to be. That's
yeah,
my
I would agree. It's definitely overpriced for what it is. Now there's obviously two versions of it, the 49 key and the 61.
Yep.
Where the 61 key is the 16 voice. And of course, the 49 is 8 voice. And there's only a $500 difference between the two. But I mean, if you're going to, I would say $500 is worth the doubling up of voices. And you also get the low pass. Low cut compressor.
Yeah, the compressor, and that's taken out at the 49 key version. So
right.
For $500 less, you're getting less voices, plus you're missing that additional feature, which in some cases actually I think would be a real big benefit to have, because as you know, when you start doing filters, sweeps and cutoffs and things like that, you're going to lose some of that low end, and this is supposed to compensate for that. I really wish they wouldn't have taken out of the 49 key version. So
exactly,
again,
I feel the same way.
Again, it's like I think it's a cool product. I think it looks great. I think it sounds awesome. I just think it's too much money for what is being offered here. Now, there is the multi-engine that is going to allow developers, and I was under the impression this might have been something that a general user could make, but it sounds like you have to have some coding skills to be able to take advantage of that and build your own digital oscillators to import into this thing. And the SDK is not available yet, so we don't really know what that's going to be like. And I don't know if that is necessarily going to be a big enough feature for this synthesizer to justify the additional cost. What do you think there, CowFood?
Well, I mean, it's cool because, I mean, in one sense it's cool because you are getting 3 oscillators that you can work with, having 3 oscillators on 16 voices is no simple thing. I mean, it's pretty cool to have that kind of power.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I mean, yeah, it sounds like it's sort of, we're delving into the VPM, or it's called a VPM, and I'm guessing that's virtual analog, if you ask me.
Or the virtual, Veriphrase something. I can't remember what that was.
Right, I'm not sure either. I missed it. But it does sound, I mean, very much like your typical virtual analog-esque and /FM. But I mean, that's the thing. That's sort of the third oscillator is what is it? Is it a wavetable? Is it a FM? Is it a combination of them?
I'm guessing
you have your own waveforms.
It can probably be whatever you can code.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm guessing. I mean, again, we don't really know the limitations of that particular portion of this synthesizer, since there's not an SDK available and no one has done anything except for Korg and whatever they've got preloaded on the machine. So I don't know. Maybe that makes up for the additional cost here, and I guess only time will tell. I don't know for sure, but
yeah, jury's out for me too.
Yeah, and
but from everything that I've heard, though, it does have kind of a very clean sound to it.
Yeah.
Opposed to like the Minilog and the Monologue, this thing sounds pristine. It's just, as I say, I call it too good. When you want analog, you want those artifacts. You want that weird warbleness. You want that, that magic sparkle.
What do they call
which,
that?
In a way, is kind of
the buzzword.
What do they call it?
They call it like warmth, right? Analog warmth or whatever.
Well, that's one aspect of it. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
warmth or fat. But I mean,
those buzzwords
in this,
everyone said.
Right. Well, what do they really mean? I mean, it's all relative to you. And for me, that magic sparkle is just not quite there from everything I've heard from it so far.
Yeah.
That aspect of it's lost. Now, I hear that in the Minilog, I hear it in the Monologue, but this one, for some reason, just sounds too good. Now, I don't know if they're using VCOs or DCOs for their analog oscillators.
These are VCOs.
They are VCO.
Yep.
Voltage controlled.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what it says on the specification page here that I have pulled up for everyone to look at.
It should be able to then do that if they've added the ability to do tuning and other things.
And I
but here's the thing.
It's something that, and this is one of kind of the disappointing things I think for this year, is I didn't see a lot of really good detail, especially on a synthesizer like this, where we get those answers like, oh, does it have drift? Can you do some of these things? And so I don't know, and it doesn't. I don't think it's going to list that as a feature on here. So if it does, I don't know. But anyways, go ahead.
Right. Also known as slop in the DSI or Dave Smith Instruments world.
Yep.
So I guess they haven't said anything about it. But there's another thing about it that's sort of lacking, and it was mentioned on one of the Sonic State reviews over there at NAMM, and that was, what about the recording of the knobs? I can't recall what that was called.
Like
Korg has their own special name, motion recording or something like that.
Yeah, like that's where you can record per step a change in the controls. Like the other Minilog and Monologue, don't they have that on there, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They have it in spades, and it's also, I think you need a sequencer in this case to have that, and which this doesn't have. Neither of the two versions of it, and
it's just arpeggiator.
And so arpeggiator, and there's no. They had 4 lanes prior to this, where you could set 4 different lanes of recording motion on whatever knob or switch, for that matter, you want, and that's not here on this, and that used to be part of what Korg was like known for quite some time up until now.
Right.
So I find that kind of like, why would you get rid of that?
This seems like some
at this stage.
Interesting choices with this, where I think they hit the mark. You know, they did in some ways in terms of, I love the voice count. I love the overall sound of the device. I like the way it looks. But yeah, I mean, we're just missing some of those standard type features that I would expect out of a flagship $2,000 synthesizer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, on the other hand, it sounds really, really good. And if you're a live stage performer, I think either one of, actually stick with the 16 voice one. Get the 16 voice one. And if you're a stage performer, you're going to be quite pleased with the sound quality and what you can pull off with it.
I think
some of the sounds from the FM and the 80s sounds that were coming from that were impeccable.
It seems like it's going to be great for like those bread and butter type sounds that you need sometimes.
Absolutely.
So,
I would 100% agree with that.
So, and again, folks, this is our opinion. So, I mean, don't get your panties in a wad, so to speak, if you disagree with us. Just leave some comments down below. Exactly. It's all good. If you think this is worth $2,000, go for it. Actually, put some demos up so I can see them. You know, that's what I want. So yeah, let's unless there's anything else you want to say about the Prologue, we can move on to our next device here.
I think I'm wrapped up to that. I'm good. I'm good to go.
Pretty good on that. All right, well, let's check this one out. We've got over here from Elektron, the Digitone, and we have. See if I can play this little bit of this intro here. Plants.
Our vision with the Digitone is to combine the raw power of FM synthesis with traditional subtractive methods to come up with a modern and easy-to-use FM synthesizer with modulation destinations such as the pitch band, mod wheel, breath control, aftertouch, velocity. You can go down the rabbit hole without the fear of getting lost.
That's right, rabbit hole. What do you think about the Digitone there, CowFood?
It's an interesting piece.
This was kind of unexpected. I mean, I didn't foresee this, and this seemed to be kind of one of those, oh shit, like look what they got. So, but you have some specific things you wanted to get off your chest about this one. So let it out, CowFood.
Well, sure. Well, FM synthesis, I mean, I guess there's been like a big thing about it, I guess, recently in the last few years. Mm-hmm. Like, we got to bring it back. And I don't know. I mean, I know why some people really want it and others don't see the point. But I mean, it all depends on what your sound is, what you like as a musician. Sure. And, well, it was surprising to me that Elektron would go this route. I don't know. I mean,
I think
then again, maybe not. I mean, but for me, there are alternatives out there. If you want FM synthesis that are much, much, much cheaper, especially if you're working in the studio. And,
oh, yeah. VST land, there's all kinds.
Right. I mean, there's moribund of FM anywhere you look, and you can get it for pennies on the dollar compared to what you're getting from this. But there's more to this than meets the eye when it comes to what it is.
Right.
As I found out. So.
Well, what did you find out that you weren't aware of initially?
Well, I guess it's that they're combining FM sound generation, as it says on their website. Mm-hmm. I'm reading it right off the website, with a classic subtractive synthesis signal flow.
Right. So you've got your filters and things like that are conventional subtractive style.
Right.
Yeah.
And they've dumbed down the FM, I think. I don't know if you can get too deep into it like you can on, say, a DX7
it's 4 oscillator or 4. Well, yes, technically oscillators, but I guess operators with 8 different algorithms, I believe, is what you have. So it's probably limited in terms of that. In terms of you have these operators with these algorithms, and in terms of the FM, I'm not sure unless you can adjust certain intensities, which I'm sure you probably can. That's probably the extent of what you're going to get from this.
Right. And I think they've even kind of pigeonholed some of that to keep it within a certain realm.
Right.
And you're not going to get the deep, really clangy metallic stuff, maybe. I don't know. Because the filters are, their filters are really good on these boxes. And the same thing with their amp section on these. It just has something about it that's really nice.
Mm.
And it does something to the sound for the FM that when I've listened to some of the stuff that from the YouTubes, really comes through as something better than FM. And that's the best way I can put it.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that sense, it's nice, but it's limiting because you're not getting the full experience of what FM is.
But I think in some ways, and this may be who this is for. So FM is complicated, okay? So, and it's really easy to get really terrible sounds out of an FM synthesizer. So if they found a way to kind of make it easier for the general FM user, I guess, or somebody who's fairly new to FM synthesis to get around and get something that they're happy with without too much mucking around, that's probably what this is, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think it's kind of meant for the musician who wants to do live.
Mm-hmm.
It's really geared towards that. If you're going to work in the studio, if you're in the studio and you're doing a lot more work in the studio,
well, again,
I can see a reason for this. If this is your sound, if this is the kind of sound you want from FM,
yeah,
this is maybe worth the price tag they're asking for.
Let's see, what is the price?
If you really
$760 US.
Yeah,
that's pretty expensive when you can get yourself, Cirrus or FM8 or whatever, and for those are a couple $100 for those. I think I have Cirrus. I don't think I've touched Cirrus yet, but I do have it, and I think it was only like $150, something like that. So
yeah.
But again,
there's much more reasonable pricings out there.
Yeah.
So this is a hands-on thing, and I think it shines in the sense that you have this attractive synthesis signal flow at your fingertips, and LFOs in the traditional sense, not in the FM sense.
Right.
And you can get your head around it much easier when using it like that. And it actually lends itself kind of to that Boards of Canada, Aphex Twin, and other ambient tone. I mean, they've got this thing going with Digitact and with Elektron in general that sort of has, I can't explain it. It's got its own IDM style. It's geared towards sort of that design. Mm-hmm. It can do anything you want it to, on the other hand, but that's sort of where they push at least the patches when you buy the units out of the box towards. They're aiming their market in that.
Well, and the fact that it can, I think it is capable of doing like 4 different tracks that you can record, or sequences, I guess, on this thing. And if I remember correctly, if I'm wrong, just beat me up in the comments. But I'm pretty sure you can do up to 4 different track sequences. And the overbridge integration is something that I think they're saying is going to be a thing on this as well. But yeah, so I mean, these boxes, like you said, they really are geared towards the live performer. And a lot of people nowadays I see trying to go computerless, right? So they're doing DAW-less performances using sequencers and things like that. So this would fit perfectly into someone's workflow that's doing that type of work if they're looking for FM, I guess.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. And this does have its own kind of unique sound because of that subtractive synthesis signal flow. And as such, if that sound works for your style, this is probably something that's worth spending that $750, $60 price tag for sure, in my opinion.
I think the main complaints I've seen, besides the guy walking around in plants in this little demo, was that there's not enough voices. I think some people were complaining about the voice count, and I don't remember what it is offhand. I apologize. I think it's
8 voice, if I recall. Let me look at the specs again. And
where's the spec sheet?
Yeah, 8 voice poly.
Okay, so 8 voices. Yeah, that's okay. That'll get you by.
And it's multi-timbral. It's multi-timbral as well, so you can split it up with different stuff.
4-part multi-timbral then, I'm guessing.
That part I don't know for sure.
Oh, they did have this cool... Let me just play a little bit of this demo that I heard on here. This is on their SoundCloud for this thing. Reminds me of the old NES games. Anyway, I thought that was actually a cool little demo song. Yeah, it does sound a little different. Yeah. It does sound different. And I think if their interface is intuitive and people are... Yeah, I mean, to somebody, this is probably worth $750, $760.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Again, it has its own FM sound that's a little different than what you're used to. Mm-hmm. And as such, it does have its own character, so I give it thumbs up on that.
A for effort.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, so yeah, let's move on to our next grouping here, which is Arturia and the new MiniBrutes. We've got 2 of them that they came out with, the MiniBrute 2, the MiniBrute 2S, and a surprise was the rack attachment, the Rack Brute 3U and 6U. So I guess we'll kind of clump these all together for Arturia. So it's an update to the MiniBrute, obviously, and you've got a couple different flavors. So one is keyboard and a real basic sequencer, like something you'd find on, I think, the KeyStep. And then the 2S is no keyboard, but you get a more advanced sequencer. And then both of these can attach to these racks that they've got, and you can connect your Euro rack gear in there. And we've got 48-point patch bay on both of these. So what do you think, CowFood?
I like it. I mean, it's a good idea. I mean, maybe they should have done that when they first released the MiniBrute and the MicroBrute. But then again, I mean, I think there was sort of they were dipping their toes into the whole, get the CV gates and stuff put on these synthesizers and see what people think of them, or if they'll even use them or tie them in into their Euro racks or racks in general.
Right.
And see what happens. But I mean, it was kind of, the MicroBrute was kind of in a sense considered a gateway drug to the Euro rack world.
Yeah, because the
MicroBrute down that rabbit hole.
That was the first one where they put the little mini patch bay on there, right? Was the MicroBrute?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
The MicroBrute had the mini patch bay. The MiniBrute had some patch points in the back of it that were similar. They didn't have as much. I have to look at it again, but yeah, this one's 48. It's got everything. So
yeah,
you can patch anything into anything.
If you're a modular nut, and this would probably fit right into your workflow there.
And from what I've heard, it sounds a little more tame. They've tamed them down from what the MiniBrute used to be, as far as its brute factor, as far as its metalizer, as far as the tone in general. I guess it's just a little more subdued.
Okay.
So they've gotten they've I don't know, mellowed it out. That's from what I've heard. And what end that means, I don't know. There's only been a little bit that I've heard from it.
Yeah,
but it still has that. It has that Arturia brute sound. So, and you get 2 full oscillators on both of them. So, and you do have a little more
waveform mixing, which is something you don't really see done in the way it's done here with the sliders. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is cool. So, and I like that sequencer on the 2S. Mm-hmm. That thing looks like it's got a lot more going on in there under the hood than your typical sequencer in general.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I agree.
It's kind of like, well, what do you want? I mean, do you want the keyboard? Do you need a keypad? Or do you, if not, then
here's
do you need a sequencer?
Here's a ridiculous sequencer for you. I think if I hadn't picked up the Matrix Brute, which I did here recently, before this was announced, the 2S is probably what I would be interested in from this. But that's just me personally.
Yeah.
And I'm not into them.
That's cool.
I haven't jumped into modular yet, so I mean, I can't speak to that in terms of what this means, having these patch bays available, or patch points available to bring in some modular gear. I have an MS-20 Mini, which is semi-modular like this, but and I obviously don't have anything else to hook it up to, so I just, the routing's all done on the synth itself. But having that aspect is going to really open this thing up, and I think it's going to appeal to a larger crowd. So I think this
definitely.
This will be a very successful set of products for them, I think.
Agreed. And you can patch, just like the MS-20, on its own patch bay, so you can unnormal how things are already currently routed to make something different.
Yeah, which is cool.
At what end you can do that.
So even if you don't have any modular gear, you can still do some messing around with the patching and create some cool things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got both worlds there. You can stick with just what it has with the patch points and not worry about getting your feet into the whole Euro rack or rack stuff.
Yep.
Or modular, or you can, or you can go ahead and see where your heart takes you.
And
with
these
all those patch points. Yeah.
I believe these are going to be $6.99 US on the Arturia website here. That's what it's showing, and I believe that's for either the 2 or the 2S, same price. And then the rack units are like, I can't remember, $2.99 and $3.99 or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is a good product, and if I didn't have a Matrix Brute already, I'd probably be looking to maybe pick one of these up. So I think that's good on Arturia. Good job, guys.
Agreed.
So yeah, let's talk about the next product we have, which is from Waldorf. This is the STVC, the Strike Fet, with a vocoder on it now. And I did find out this is a 250 band vocoder. That's something that I was kind of upset on one of the reviews that they asked the Korg guy that, and I guess he didn't hear him. Yeah, it's on here on the website, 250 band vocoder. What do you think of this, CowFood?
Very interesting. I really want to hear more of it. I don't have much I haven't listened to enough of it, but I really think it's got potential.
Yeah, I think they've done some work on the sound engine for the strings. And
yeah, they have.
And just what I heard from some of the NAMM videos, it sounds really good. Now, the vocoder I haven't heard too much of, and that to me is really what I would be interested in using this for, more of the vocoding stuff. So I'd like to see some more demos utilizing the vocoder and how that sounds.
Yeah, I think there's a big mix knob that you go between the vocoding and the strings.
And the strings, okay.
And I don't know exactly how that works if it's just like crossover or what. But I think it's more than that. It depends on what you're doing. But this thing looks and sounds amazing. It's got a guitar keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
It's fully metal. It's like the Blofeld. I mean,
it's the same chassis, I think. I think it's the same chassis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope, though, that they fix the encoders, because the Blofeld encoders have had problems.
Okay.
Or at least I've read up about a bunch of problems with the encoders, and whether or not they fix that issue. If they have, that would be nice to know before diving into this.
Yeah, this is the Waldorf stuff. I've never owned any of their products before, so I'm not somebody who can comment on overall quality in their product line. But this definitely had my ears perked up quite a bit. The only thing is, I think it's a little overpriced, but you're getting a super high quality keyboard in here, getting a metal chassis, 250 band vocoder, and really amazing sounding strings. So I don't know. What do you think about the price point? Do you think this is too high, or do you think it's right on point for where it should be?
Where was it again? 700, or was it more than that? Was it $899? Was it?
I want to say $899. It's like $900, I think. Could be mistaken here. I'm looking to see if there's a spot where I can find that here. Why don't you fill some dead air there, CowFood, and I'll see if I can look that up.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm going to say that $900 to me, if it's the right tool, and the sound is just amazing, it's probably going to be okay for me to spend that extra couple $100 that I think it should have been priced at. But if it's got that sound, if it's there, I'm not going to blink an eye.
So they have
this is the thing.
They have them for pre-order on Sweetwater for $899.99, $900.
Yeah,
so
that sounds right.
I think
it is high on the price.
That is high, but again, like you said, if it's got that sound, then
and it all depends on what they did with for me at least, how far they took the re-engineering of the StrikeFat engine and how close they got to the actual older analog string sound that this is kind of trying to model after the 70s,
Yeah.
And if they hit it, if they nailed it, then I'm going to be putting this on
your short list.
If I can get the money raised up to buy it.
Have to sell a kidney or something, huh?
Right. Yeah. But I mean, then again, you're getting you're getting two different things here: a string synthesizer, a vocoder, way to blend between the two.
Yep.
A guitar keyboard and a chassis that looks amazing.
Yeah.
The only thing that's kind of a little bit of a drag is that LCD screen is so small. Wish they had a little bit more there to show, but that's all right.
And it doesn't.
Again, it's all about the sound for me.
Well, and this is something I noticed because I had looked at some of the Waldorf synths before. They have like a little desktop one with a pretty good size LCD on it, but they have like most of the information that's important in little tiny text and then like big ass numbers. So I was kind of like, that seems backwards. But yeah, so maybe they need to think about how they work their LCD design, because this looks like it's kind of similar where we have a big number and a little bit, I can't see it on here, but it looks like there's a little bit of information underneath the big ass number that's on there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. It's small.
Yeah. So,
big number and small text.
And small text. So, yeah, I think you guys have that backwards. Maybe bigger text and smaller number. I don't know, but whatever. Yeah,
bigger screen. That's what I say.
Yeah, bigger screen. They have all that whole side of the synth there that they could have. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Have you seen the synth meme where they show the guy who supposedly designed the virus, and he's got like half of his face is on or his whole face is only on like 1/4 of his upper forehead, and the rest is just blank. It's hilarious. Yeah,
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. I'll have to see if I can pull that up for the podcast or for the show here. Yeah, it seems like a little larger screen, but again, that's going to add to the cost. And if it's already $900, people are going to flip their shit if it's like $1,200 for this thing.
Yeah. Well, again, it depends on how well this thing sounds in the studio. I'll have jury's out for me. It sounds good from what I heard from NAMM. Yeah, but we'll see. I'm anxious to hear more because it does sound good so far.
I think that I think it's a very interesting product, and I can't wait to see some more demos with people utilizing the vocoder aspect of it. And the strings, from what I had heard, sound really good. Now I don't know how they compare to the classic that you're referring to, but it sounded awesome.
Well, there's a bunch of classics. Yeah, there's a bunch that I think it's modeling after, and. Anyway, there's plenty of them, and I want to see kind of how it models on all of them, because I'm a big fan of virtual strings, or not virtual, but just string synthesizers in general.
Yeah.
So for me, that's something it's in my wheelhouse, if you will.
And you do a lot of ambient stuff, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So yeah, this would be really good for that. All right. Well, let's talk about the big dog at the show, the Quantum, also from Waldorf. Now, this is something that I have seen the last couple of NAMMs being displayed, and it's very cool looking synthesizer with a gigantic screen, as we were just talking about screens there, with a gigantic price tag. I think this is around $4,000 or $4,500. And it's not analog, it's an all digital synth as far as I understand. Couple different filters, which you could do some cool manipulation with the filters there, and implements a couple different forms of synthesis as well. What do you think about the Quantum?
Well, the filters are analog. Everything else,
okay.
I think, is digital.
I'm
so
sorry.
You get two parallel, or is it series? I don't know. Maybe you can switch between.
I think you can.
In any case, you got two
between. Yeah.
You got two filters, and they're fully analog. So that's kind of a nice thing. Again, it's sort of like this thing to me is it's more about the price point at this point. The price point kind of kills it for me.
Well, yeah, and it's going to kill it. I mean, it's not your average synth, your average Joe's synth, you know.
Right.
It's probably one of the most expensive synths I've seen in a long time. I'm trying to remember the last one that was around that price point. The Modal? Is that how you say it? They had a couple. They had a couple. They had an analog one and a digital one, which were both in the $4,000 or $5,000 range. So those are probably the last ones I saw that hit that mark that I can remember. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, Internet. I'm sure you will. I think this is neat. Again, it's just really expensive, and it's something that I'll probably never own. But it's not marketed at someone like me, I don't think, anyway. So
yeah, from what I'm reading here, it's I listened to the demos that were out, and the sounds that were showed or played just didn't sound all that interesting to me.
It didn't. Yeah,
it's sort of one of those. It's just one of those things. I think that if you're really into synthesis, maybe this is something you should look into if you got the money,
right,
and you got the time just to mess around. But if you're looking for something that's gonna like knock your socks off as sounds, I don't think this is gonna do it. No offense.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can dial in something here and there, but I mean, I don't know. And there's a lot offered on it. It's got 4 synthesis sources: wavetable, waveform, particle granular sampler, resonator sound modeling, and that's it. But sampling is at 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz. Granular loop, one shot.
Didn't it have like a ridiculous amount of LFOs too? It was like 6 LFOs per oscillator or something like that.
Let me look here. 6, yeah.
Yeah, here we go. 6 oscillators and poly and global mode with extensive parameter set. 6 loopable envelopes. That's cool. I like having the loopable envelopes.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, this is a jam-packed synth full of all kinds of stuff, and I think that the demos may not be doing it justice that we've heard. You get somebody in there that can really tear into this, and I'm sure we'd be amazed with what it's capable of. And I'm thinking that the whatever they've been demoing is just not even scratching the surface on this. I would hope, for as expensive as it is, but
I agree. And maybe they just didn't have the right people programming the patches that they had available to us for the demos.
Yeah, who knows?
So maybe in time we'll see more. And has it been 3 years coming? It's been like teased at NAMM for like 3 years.
I think I've seen it 3 years in a row now. Yep. I think it's expected to ship soon. I don't know if it's showing up on Sweetwater here. Let's take a look and I just am curious if it's something that you can pre-order. And I love Sweetwater, but, you know, check out your local synth shops there. Support your local guys if you can. These are they're better than the center with guitars in it that I have near me, so I use these guys.
That might be being a little too harsh on it as well. I mean,
$42.99.
Oh, it is on Sweetwater.
It is.
Pre-order, right?
And you can pre-order. This is coming soon.
Cool.
So yeah, there you go. You can actually buy one and hopefully get one before the end of the year. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear some more demos on this once it's in the hands of some other folks.
Agreed. I think I need to hear. I need to say that my opinion is out still.
Yeah, mine too.
And I rescind what I said earlier until I hear more from it.
Yeah, there's no customer reviews on it though, so we're gonna have to wait for those.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's see.
Again, the two analog filters do have something to say for themselves, and we'll have to see.
I didn't realize that they were analog filters. Yeah, so that is interesting. Yeah, we'll see.
And they go over the whole gamut. They have, I think, a whole different litany of types of filtering as well.
Mm.
So that might be part of why this synth is so expensive.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so let's talk about the next thing on the list here. That I brought this up. I saw a video from Sonic State over at the Roland booth. I was kind of disappointed. We didn't really hear anything new synth-wise from Roland, except they had a rack of SEO2s and some of the boutiques that was really cool looking. And one of the interesting things that was brought up during that presentation, the guy had several of them chained together for sequences, and then I think for polyphony for the other side. They had like 6 and 6. And there was a couple in there that were white. And I was like, oh, I thought those were something else. I thought they were like, they kind of look like TB03s or something. But no, they're actually white SEO2s. And it was explained that there's apparently a firmware update that they have done or going to release that's going to add pulse width modulation. And yeah, I'm going to have to check that out because I have an SEO2 and I would love to see what is different in the firmware update. And I did check on the website here, though, for Roland, and they're still showing the 105 firmware. I think this is the one that I have already. This is from September of 2017. And I don't know that that's what they were showing off in the video from Sonic State or not. Maybe someone can let me know. But if it's a new firmware update, it's not available. And if they're referring to the 105, I guess I'm going to have to give it another look because I didn't notice any pulse width modulation added in here. So I think maybe we're still waiting for that to go live. Do you know anything about this, CowFood?
As far as you're saying the firmware on the SEO2s?
Yeah.
No, I'm not familiar with what's going on that end of the spectrum.
Okay.
So
I just thought I'd bring it up because I have one.
Sure.
And I was like, wait, oh. And then I looked and I don't see an update since September, so I'll have to look at that again.
Roland is notorious taking their time when it comes to updates. But that they do eventually get around to it, so
yeah, they do a pretty good job with their updates. I think that's something that some Elektron folks are waiting for their Digitex, excuse me.
Yeah, Elektron's in the same boat when it comes to that. They take their sweet time, but they do eventually come around and make it all right.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's move on to the pocket operators, the new ones that we saw from Teenage Engineering this year at NAMM. We had the PO35 and the PO33. The 33 is the KO or the knockout, which is the sampler, I believe. And the other one is the
Speak.
Yeah, the PO35 is the Speak, which is a voice synthesizer. So these are two really neat looking and sounding products, I think. The pocket operators, I think, are pretty successful in general. For a lot of folks, I think they like them and they're not expensive. Personally, I don't own any of them, but if I'm going to own one, I will probably pick up a Speak. I think the voice synthesizer thing is really neat.
Yeah. That thing does sound pretty cool. It's got an auto-tune feature on it that I thought was looked like a lot of fun.
You can go T-Pain on that.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have on channel 16 a drums. So you can program some drum patterns. Which
Yep.
that was kind of neat.
I'm wholehearted, and I've got a couple of pocket operators here, and I love those things. So these two look like
Do you use them?
worthy collection pieces.
Do you use them in your productions at all, or you just use them to kind of noodle around on when you're?
Right now, it's just a noodle around.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can get some nice chiptune stuff going with these things, and you name it. But it's just fun. It's fun to play around with.
I don't know if it's
noodle
gonna
around kind of thing.
I don't know if it'll replace my circuit bent speak and read, but maybe. It seemed like the voice synthesizer one had a mode on it that sounded very similar to the creepy speak and read.
Speak and read.
Yeah.
I used to have a speak and spell.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the difference is on those, except one's red and one's yellow. I'm not sure. But this one you can type
speak
in.
and spell is cooler, man.
Yeah, it probably is. This one though, I've got a bunch of different sound modules that you slot into the back, and they're basically vocabulary modules, and it gives different words. And I've used this a lot and stuff to snip up some creepy speak and read vocals and make different words that it's not supposed to say and put them into songs. So if I can get a pocket operator that does a similar thing, but I can use my own voice to make up the vocabulary, that's humongous time saver. So that's kind of why I'm interested in that.
Most importantly, though, it's got auto-tune.
Yes, and auto-tune. CowFood is all about the auto-tune on the pocket
Absolutely.
Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah,
that's the fun. Those look like a great fun thing to have. I'm kind of thinking I might pick one up myself. I can't decide which one I want.
How much were these running? Like $60?
I'm taking it. Yeah, I'm guessing. Now that they show a picture on their website of all three of them from the Microtonic, or they call it the Tonic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm familiar with the Microtonic, which was a VST made way back in 2000.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
And that thing is an amazing little drum synthesizer, VST, that is still relevant in today's world. It still holds its weight. And that's the guy who made that VST. He's the one that made the Tonic, which is a pocket operator, which allows you to upload I think you can actually edit these drum sounds with a different app, I'm not sure, and upload them into the Tonic pocket operator, so you can change your drum sounds out however you wish and design them how you wish on your computer, then upload them into it. And the same guy that made that is the one that made the Speak and the Knockout.
Oh,
and if that's
cool.
the case,
yeah.
If that's the case, then I already know that the Speak and the Knockout are going to be a knockout. So there you go.
All right. Now they are $89 on Sweetwater, so they're getting up there, but I think that this adds some really awesome value for what they do, and I'm interested, like I said, particularly in the Speak. The other one, the sampling one, I'm not sure what I would use that one for, so, but definitely the vocal synthesizer, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll probably get one of those.
Did you see by chance what the Tonic goes for?
No, let's see. Is that?
I know that's last year's, but
they have. Hold on, let me back up on this. Back it up. Back up again. Oh, come on. Do you know what the number is on that one?
32 maybe. I could be
32. Yep, the Tonic. Here it is. It is also $89. This is
89.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it looks like here's a nice little drop down. So the PO14 through 14 and 24 are $49. The 12, which is the rhythm, 16 factory, 20 analog, and 28 robot. Those are all $59, and then the tonic, the KO, and the speak are all $89. So they've got, looks like a couple different tiers of pricing on these pocket operators.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought they would be not quite that high, but that's fine. They're still pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the speak one, if it does a good job, I think for sure. But I think I've said that like a million times.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Marshall likes to speak, and CowFood doesn't give a shit. So we'll talk. We'll talk about some modular news. There's a couple things you wanted to hit on. Again, I'm not a modular guy, so I don't know shit. So I'm gonna let CowFood take it away with some of his thoughts. Looks like the Strymon you wanted to talk about.
Strymon, Eventide, and that's about it. Well, I think Empress, I think, is the other one. But I'll just mention Strymon and Eventide. They're moving into the modular realm with some stuff that seems kind of interesting. And seeing as how those two, for me, from a pedal standpoint, have kind of decided to get their feet in the modular world is kind of big news.
Yeah.
So, at least from the effect standpoint. And Strymon's put out a 4-head tape, analog tape modeler.
This is the Magneto?
Magneto, that's the one. So that sounds interesting. Now, I haven't heard enough from it to say one way or another, but they said they're using the same kind of algorithms that they put into their pedal called the El Capistan. And if you've heard any demos from the El Cap, as I like to call it, used with any synthesizer, whether it's modular or outboard, it's amazing. That's one of the better tape delay emulators you can get, aside from actually getting the real thing. So,
and I've just pulled this up on the Sweetwater website just to give people an idea of what it looks like, and the price point, about $600 US for this.
Yeah,
it's pricey.
It's pricey, but I mean, if it does what it says it does, and the jury's still out because the demo I heard from NAMM didn't sound that great to my ears. It sounded a little too good.
After you mentioned it, I went and tried to look for some videos from NAMM at it. I looked at both the Strymon and the Eventide. Euro DDL, I think, is the other one.
Yeah, that's the Eventide's answer for the Euro rack.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, they sound like delays to me, so I don't know.
Right. There's nothing special going on there that I was hoping to hear from the demos that they showed at NAMM. Now, again, from their pedal standpoint, if you go by their pedals, the sounds are some of the best. Mm-hmm. I consider the Strymon Big Sky for the reverb, for instance, one of the best that you can get, and of course El Cap for the tape delays. And most of all Strymon's pedals, for that matter, are pretty banging on for getting the best sound you can for the effect that you're looking for. And the same goes for Eventide. Eventide's maybe a little cleaner and more accurate is a general rule of thumb, and Strymon is a little more characterized, if you will, for lack of a better word.
It's got more character.
But
that's what you say. Like, yes. Yeah. It's got more character.
More character, though. You're right.
It's the ugly one, but it's got more character. Just kidding.
Yep.
Yeah, so this actually, the Eventide is actually $399, but it does look like it's quite a bit slimmer pickings on the interface here. Again, I don't know.
They'll save you. Save you room. So
yeah, it's a lot smaller. It looks like a smaller module, less knobs on it. If that means anything, I don't know. In the modular land,
there's some stuff from Erica Synths. I'll just mention it briefly. That sounds. That was the one manufacturer this year, I think, that really piqued my interest. I think they're going in realms that are. Well, they have already been going in realms that are, top notch. So keep an eye out on that.
Okay.
And so that's my news on modular. There's plenty. Actually, there's a lot of modular. That's at NAMM, but anyway.
Yeah, I was going to ask you though. Are you a modular guy? Are you into the modular stuff?
Barely.
You're just getting your toes.
I've got 3 modules, and that's from 3 years ago. The thing is that what I've understood and realized about modular is that it's a rabbit hole. If you get into it, you can't stop buying, and you just keep buying more and more, and you just get this huge rack of modules.
And it takes you like 2 hours to make up a patch.
Right, and you get lost into just trying to make something out of it all.
I guess
so I figured I'd buy 3 modules, and say that's enough for now.
If you're
in fact, it probably will be enough for now.
If you're a modular person, let me know in the comments. What is the appeal to you? Having a spaghetti factory of cables just everywhere. I don't have a problem with it. It's just for me, I'm just kind of like I want to get some sounds and get some music made. So I don't know, and I want to be able to recall what I did. So unless you're taking all kinds of notes, if you've got a huge modular thing, I'm just curious what the draw is for that, and maybe it's just the fact that you're physically making the connections and you're doing all this stuff. I don't know, but to me, I'm just kind of I don't get it.
Yeah, I think the tactility. Again, words are escaping me.
Tactility. We'll add that to the
tactility.
Urban Dictionary. I don't think is that a word?
Is that a word? Making up words while I'm eating the food.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think there's a good part of this is part of that, and then there's other elements where you can get all kinds of interesting, discrete, like electronics that you couldn't buy otherwise as a standalone, like filters and oscillators and other things that are their own kind of character, if you will.
Right. I think I could see
and
that.
When you put them all together, you get this new character that's all your own, and no one else has it.
Right, unless they've
in theory.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And even still, if you were able to get at least a couple of filters and run some of your regular stuff through some of that, I could see that being useful in a studio environment. And even the effects like the delays and reverbs and those types of things, I think would be for me being somebody who works more in the studio and not wanting to spend 10 hours making a patch. Those types of modules, I think, would be appealing to me from a modular perspective in my workflow. I think I could see myself using some modular-based filters and effects for things.
Yeah, well, go ahead and start doing that, Marshall. You'll end up finding yourself buying oscillators.
I'm sure.
You're like,
I'll be like,
I should try one of those just for the heck of it. Then
yeah, and then all of a sudden I'm 15 grand in second mortgage on my house.
That's right.
Nowhere to park the cars because the whole garage is a modular synthesizer. Oh, that could happen. My pocketbook says hopefully not, but you never know. Again, I don't know anything about it, so whatever. So unless there's anything else in the modular space, we could move on to our next topic.
We can move on.
All right, so we wanted to talk about some DAW news, and Bitwig 2.3 has been released. And I got a little bit of the Sonic State video. I guess they've added some time stretching algorithms, a new synthesizer, and some other things. Do you know anything about Bitwig, CowFood?
Well, I know that it's very similar in a sense to its aesthetics to Ableton Live, and it's also touchscreen. So you've got the same aesthetics. You got a touchscreen. It's streamlined and it's cheaper. And
optimized.
How do I put it? It's worth. Yeah, it's optimized
for touchscreen workflow. Correct.
Well, it's optimized in general. It's JavaScript as far as I recall.
Oh, okay.
So it's a really small footprint, but it's got the same power as Live, if you will.
Okay.
Some might argue, of course, that there's no way. But from what I've seen and what I've just messed around with on it, it's becoming a contender, I would think, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, this was something I didn't know about. I've heard of Bitwig just mostly from the Sonic State podcasts and stuff, but because I think they're a sponsor, they do some promoting of it. But that's all I've heard of it. I didn't even know what it looked like until you told me about this update, and I went and looked at some videos. And yeah, it looks interesting. I'll have to see if there's a trial. 'Cause I've been using Ableton for the last few years, and previous to that, I was Pro Tools user for like a decade. So I'm always willing to give a new DAW a chance for sure. And yeah, I guess with these new additions here, having the time stretch, that's kind of a big thing. In a lot of ways, the time stretching I've used quite a bit. I remember when it came out in Pro Tools, and we were all like, "Holy shit!" You know, it doesn't sound like crap. So
yeah. Getting a good time stretch algorithm is key. That's one thing Live has.
Are you what's your DAW of choice currently, CowFood?
My DAW of choice is actually, well, it has been Cakewalk, but that got discontinued.
Oh, that was some news just ahead of NAMM. Well, was it like a month ahead of NAMM?
Yeah.
So I guess not really NAMM related, but yeah, Cakewalk, rest in peace. They were bought up by Gibson at one point, right? And then Gibson
Gibson
shut
took
the
them
door on
and
them.
dumped them.
Yeah,
Pretty much. And I mean, that DAW was actually more for like guitarists and four-piece band type things, and it wasn't really acclimated towards the electronic music scene. But I just got used to it for so long because I used it back in back before it even had audio recording. I was doing Cakewalk in the early 90s, late 80s.
It could do like
just MIDI tracks.
MIDI sequencing, right? Yeah, because
yeah.
When I was doing my old school DAWs throwback, and I was looking at like old versions of Pro Tools and Reason and stuff, I think you had mentioned Cakewalk. And when I first got into the game, it was still kind of taboo to be using your computer to do music. But I remember Cakewalk, although I never used it. So, and maybe it's because I was poor. I don't know how much. Was it expensive?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was probably about the same price as it's been. I mean, it's been about $300-400 even back then.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
yeah.
It's kind of kept its price fluctuating depending on the versions and what's come out with it. But
so it's
always been up there.
Was Cakewalk the first? Was it the first MIDI sequencer on a PC or on a computer that you could get, or was that Cubase?
Well, no. I think it's even before that. I think Amiga's had something, and even the Commodore 64 is way back in the day had MIDI DINs.
Oh,
I don't know. Then again, I could be wrong. It wasn't MIDI as such, but there was some kind of a track. I mean, I think it was a tracker of some kind. But yeah,
for controlling, the one I hear people talk about all the time is using the Atari ST and some kind of Cubase or Cakewalk or something. But I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know nothing about that. Somebody can.
That's even before my time.
Somebody can.
I hit with the PC and Cakewalk. That's when I got really kind of interested in computers and music.
Yeah. Well, speaking of MIDI, there have been some rumors, and I think this kind of flared up a little bit at NAMM, talking about a new standard for MIDI. Talking about the MPE standard, I guess, Multidimensional Polyphonic Expression. I don't know exactly. I think this has come about since the new Roland products, and I think Roland has been one of the folks to develop this. Could be wrong, so let me know. But I think that's cool. I don't know that I'm ever going to use it, but I'm not a Roland guy either. So what do you think about this possible new standard coming to MIDI?
I guess it's interesting if you're a live performer.
Again. Yeah.
If you know how to, in that case, it's something that should be piquing your interest. As far as people who work in the DAW in the studio, you can do all this stuff with automation and MIDI, CC or and RPMs or whatever, and control whatever you want. exactly how you want it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the tactile end of it, the multi-dimensional such thing, which really is all about.
It's all about the touching.
And it requires a whole new way of thinking about how you play your instrument, of course.
And having to relearn a lot of things. I think that if you got comfortable with using this type of product that implements these new MIDI features, it could be a huge time saver, because I know that a lot of times when I'm doing automation, it can take a long time to go through and get everything exactly how I want. But if I could just play it, that would be great. But, how much time do I want to invest in learning how to play it with this new type of product using the new MIDI standard? That's kind of the which way do you want to go? Do you want to spend more time drawing automations in, or doing knob tweaks or whatever, MIDI CC assignments that way, or do you want to try and get one of these new MIDI products that implements this new standard and learn how to play everything all different, which will probably take.
It all depends on
some time.
Your workflow and how you feel most comfortable going about it.
Yeah, definitely for live. You're right. And I have a hard time. I don't usually think about you folks that play live, and I apologize for that. I worked primarily in a studio, and so I forget all about you actual people that go and play live. So sorry about that.
I'm the same way, but I keep them in the back of my mind.
That's it, and that's why you're here, CowFood, to help keep those things that I forget about in the forefront.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I mean, there hasn't been an update to MIDI in, I don't know, since forever. And we were talking about that the last time we talked, I think, actually, about MIDI. And, so here's something new for it. Interesting. So
I'm wondering if that's part of what MIDI 2.0 is supposed to be, or if this is just something addendum, if you will.
Yeah.
To MIDI version 1.
I thought I heard that they were having a hard time agreeing on what this is going to be and if it's going to be accepted. So I think it's just in talks right now, and we'll see what happens in the next year or two on this, if it actually gets adopted as a standard or not.
Yep. We'll see.
Well, cool. So
it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was going to move on to our final thoughts and a couple of things, actually, that I wanted to mention. We didn't see a couple of manufacturers at the show this year. Specifically, Dave Smith was not there. Moog was there, kind of. They weren't actually there, but they had something off-site in a hotel or something that they were doing some stuff in. And we didn't talk about the DFAM because wasn't technically at NAMM, but so they weren't there. And who else wasn't there? Was it Behringer? Was Behringer there?
Behringer, as far as I recall.
Yeah. So kind of interesting. I just wanted to it's kind of something to mention, I guess. And there's a couple other products that I forgot when we were talking about what we're going to talk about today. There was the new Nord Electro 6D. And the Manther, I don't know if you saw the Manther. It was like a groove box type thing. Did you see anything about that?
Oh, yeah. I did see something about that. I think they were talking last year. They had it at NAMM last year, but it was just the empty shell.
Right.
I guess they finally filled it with electronics.
Have making some sounds. That seems interesting. I mean, I thought it was kind of cool. Reading the comments, I think I might be in the minority there on the video that I saw for that, but that was interesting. It had some feature where the sliders have LEDs on them, and if you program some automation with one of the sliders, that would it would light up to let you know this one has automation, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know, but I thought it sounded all right, and I could see doing some cool stuff with something like that.
Yeah, I think it was modeled maybe after, kind of loosely modeled after SH-101.
101, yeah, that's kind of what I was hearing too.
So that's all I really could remember from last year. When I heard this year, I'm like, it doesn't quite sound like a 101. But then again, You know, it's NAMM. It's hard to tell.
Yep,
Until
exactly.
It's in the hands of some people demoing it.
And, you know,
And so.
the folks doing the demos, this was like with the Prologue, where we had the guy from Korg doing some demoing, and that it was a little lackluster. But when you showed me the video from Anderton's, I was like, man, this thing looks awesome. And then I realized it was missing a bunch of stuff that I would have wanted for $2,000 synth. But anyways,
right.
So who's doing the demo, I think, matters. And if the only thing we have for like this Manther is a couple videos from NAMM, probably not the best indication of what it's actually going to sound like.
Exactly.
So the new Nord, are you into the organ stuff from them?
Not so much. I'm not a big Nord fan. I mean, again, for Nords for me are more for live performance. Definitely for the live performing artist. I mean, they can definitely be used in the studio. Don't get me wrong. But I think their main goal when they've created those synths were for people who were touring on stage.
Yep.
So
I agree 100%.
That's where their focus was when they created them. And they sound great. They're perfect for what they do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I would sum it up.
Another interesting thing that I noticed that I wanted to just mention and see what you think. Mr. Marc Doty working for Buchla. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, yeah, I did see that. He jumped the Moog ship.
Mr. Moog, Mr. Subtractive Synthesis himself, the Bob Ross of synthesizers, going over and working for Buchla. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, that's totally different. I mean, that's a leap into a different
That's a
realm.
whole, yeah, man. That's like, yeah, you're in a parallel dimension from what he had been accustomed to, I'm sure.
Exactly.
But good for him.
Exactly.
I hope he's very happy and does very good work for them. I don't know anything about Buchla other than it was the whole East Coast, West Coast. Moog, Buchla were kind of early competitors in the early days of synthesizers, and kind of like AC versus DC in electricity with Tesla and who was the other guy?
Thomas Edison.
That's right.
Edison. I can't even
Exactly.
Yep.
Kind of like that, but with synthesizers, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he electrocuted some elephants too. Edison did.
Yeah.
A way to try
and show DC is more safe.
So much better.
Yeah. Yeah, except you can't transmit it more than, however many miles or feet or whatever, where AC would maintain its integrity. Right. So, yeah, but you could fry an elephant with it. It's so funny, man.
Horrifying
it
people.
Just
hey, get an whole audience watching an elephant fry on electricity.
Hey, man, at least it wasn't cows. All right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So the last thing, you told me to check this out. I didn't know about this, but a company called Yudo has a cardboard
keyboard. You can put over your QWERTY.
Oh, what happened?
Stick it over your QWERTY keyboard, and it.
Well, they had two of them. Here,
you can buy the whole thing.
I think my link is bad. Let me make sure. I wanted to pull this up. This is it reminds me of that stuff that Nintendo has come out with recently for their Nintendo Switch, the cardboard things that you put on your little controllers, and you can make a little robot that like vibrates across the floor and stuff. And they had one that was actually a keyboard as well. And when you told me about this, I was like, oh, I wonder if it's that. And then no, it's literally like keyboard cutouts that you put over your QWERTY keyboard.
Your QWERTY. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that they do have one that they're working on that is a standalone to be its own MIDI controller. But it's like $50. Can't you just go buy like a used like key station or something for like $50? I mean,
easily.
And then not have it be I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you spill stuff on your desk. That's gonna ruin your little cardboard keyboard. If your kids get a hold of it, you know, if you have any kids and they get all their grubby
Well, they
fingers
somehow
on.
got the money together to buy a booth at NAMM, so I give them kudos for that.
Well, they had something else. This is the same company that had that big. I didn't mention this because I didn't find out about it till late last night. But they had like the big touchscreen synthesizer. It's like running some version of Contact and on top of Windows or something, and they had this custom UI, and it was literally like a full-size keyboard. They said it was like DX7 style keybed, and with a big-ass touchscreen on there. And that's the same company. So I think they had some other stuff there as well than just this.
Well, then double kudos because, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. They have a Kickstarter for this. So I'll leave a link to the Sonic State video, which I'm sure will link to the Kickstarter or whatever. So if you want to go and get one of these, have a ball. I'm expecting you to get one, CowFood, and do a full review for everyone.
You know I will. I'm gonna have to now.
I'm expecting.
I'm on it.
And if you don't, we're gonna be
I have to buy 10 of them.
We're gonna be all very upset. All right. Well, yeah. I think we've covered everything. Was there anything that you wanted to add here before we wrap it up?
Sure. I have some final thoughts, I guess.
Sure. Final thoughts.
This year, I think I saw a lack of subtractive synthesis from the big players, and I think they're kind of looking to move into some other realms. Now, you can argue that the Prologue does have 2 analog oscillators in it, and the Quantum has analog filters and things like that. So and the Digitone has analog. Well, no, it doesn't actually have analog, so but never mind. It just has a subtractive synthesis signal flow.
Right.
But and the MiniBrute was definitely there. But in general, I saw a lot more push towards FM and wavetable, and that kind of thing going on. More so, I think. Maybe I'm just reading into it, but it seems like there's kind of like a confusion as to whether they should go more into wavetable or FM or what.
Well, like we were talking about, standard subtractive synthesis has been done to your heart's desire, like a million ways. So I guess they're trying to come up with new products to make us all want or need.
Right, exactly. I think they are getting tired of working with subtractive synthesis in general, and maybe I'm seeing a trend towards that in the future. And that's sort of what I'm going to take away from this NAMM in general. Is that I think there's kind of a confusion as to where we go next.
Yeah.
And where manufacturers for doing outboard gear and such will take things.
So I think I agree with you, and I also think though that you have where I think for some of the analog stuff, I think that the price points just still need to come down some from some of these big guys. When you got Behringer doing stuff like the DeepMind 12 for like $1,000,
right?
They're going to have some pretty hefty competition from them in that space. Maybe they're just going to forfeit the whole thing and just let Behringer clone all the vintage stuff. I don't know, but.
Yeah, I think there might be some upset or turmoil in the market with Music Group doing what they're doing with all these clones. But I mean, again, the clones haven't really shown up. We're still waiting on the D.
I think the D has started shipping for some. Yours truly has had one pre-ordered since July or June. Excuse me. Whenever they first went out on pre-order, I pre-ordered one. Still waiting very patiently. But I think there are some people. I know DivKid got one already. If you follow DivKid on YouTube, he has one.
I'll have to start.
Yeah, and there's been a few other demos I've seen from folks that have them already. They may be going out. Maybe they're in European countries. So maybe here in the U.S. they just haven't hit over here yet, is my guess. And I did see actually today a video from Behringer. Let me see if I can find that. for
I did hear that
a new
Behringer will not. They will not be doing. I don't think they'll be doing NAMM anymore. I think they announced that last year.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong on that. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh no, go ahead. I'm just looking for there was another product that Behringer announced, not NAMM related, because I think it just saw something about it today.
I saw two. They've announced an Octave Cat,
the Neutron,
and a Neutron. What's that?
Here, I'll bring this up. Let me get some sound on this. It's red. It has a lot of buttons and sliders. Did you...
well, that's good.
It looks like it's semi-modular as well. And I'm not sure how big this thing is, if it's a Eurorack thing or what exactly it's... It looks like it's pretty good size. Yeah, I just saw this today. So that's something I'm going to have to look into.
Very interesting.
So that's that. You didn't know that.
Check it out too. I did not.
Yeah, heard it here first. Heard it here first, folks. Yeah. So the announcement. It was 3 days ago. It was announced. There's an announcement video on their YouTube page. Yeah, I'll have to watch this.
I think it's official. I could be wrong, but I think they announced an Octave Cat and an OBXA clone.
The OBXA clone they were working on. They were showing pictures, and I complained because they keep showing pictures, and I still don't have a Model D. And kind of like, stop teasing us with this other stuff. Get us stuff that we already ordered, please. Yes, please clone the OBXA, but why don't you show it to me when it's a little closer to being ready? Because they're saying it's going to be like another year or so, I think, for that.
Yeah, at least, and especially with that one. That one's multi-timbral and 8-voice, so I don't see that being necessarily that cheap, and it's going to take a while to get that one right.
Well, they're gonna have to get it right, and gosh, I can't remember what I was going to say now. I was going to say something else about it, but it's not important. They said that they're going to have their Midas team work on it. That's what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
So the same guys that did the DeepMind 12 will be working on the OBXA clone.
Okay. Well, I started off with the DeepMind. It took 3 years, and it was initially going to be Juno 106, and it became something completely different.
Yeah.
Still has a little of the hints of Roland in there, but anyway.
They definitely took it in a different direction, and I think it's awesome. I like the DeepMind 12.
Yeah.
I have one right there. Or it's there, over there. And you have one too, don't you? You got DeepMind 12?
I do. It's got its own tone to it.
Yeah. The effects section
is
really
it or you
cool.
don't.
Yeah. The effects section I really like on it, and I like them. I don't know. I think it's a good synth, and especially for the price, like it's awesome. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's definitely worth checking out if you can see one in person.
I saw
on the fence about.
I saw the center with guitars in it had them on sale not that long ago for $800. So there may be some sales in your area, so check. And you could definitely get a used one for good price. So.
Yep, they're worth it if
yep.
you are looking for something like that.
Yep.
12 voices of analog.
Can't beat the price for that, that's for sure.
Nope.
So, all right, CowFood. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming in and joining me on this show here, talking about the NAMM stuff. It's nice to have someone to bounce some conversation off of instead of just by myself talking about stuff. So, I appreciate you coming through on this.
Marshall, the pleasure is all mine. It's always a pleasure coming in and talking to you guys.
Yeah,
so,
I'll have you back when I get a Model D in here from Behringer.
All right. I'm definitely curious to see what you think or how it sounds when you put that thing up against the other two.
Oh, did we lose
recreation? I'm curious to see just where it where it stands in your opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, because I did that comparison video with the SEO2, and I know that it's obvious they were kind of going for the Moog Model D clone type thing, but with some other features. And the Behringer D obviously is just a blatant, that's what we're doing. So it'd be cool to see where they all stand in comparison to the Model D I have back here. And, from what I understand, the Behringer D is, they are using the reissue as the base for it. So it should sound close to that, if not exactly. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm interested. And yeah, for $300, I mean, even if it doesn't sound like it, that's fine. I'm sure I'll get use out of it.
I've heard that the difference in the filters between the SEO2 and the D seems, from what I've heard anyway, a little more growly.
Yeah.
More raw, more aggressive. And the Roland seems more tamed and rounded.
Well, they have, and there was a comment from one of the developers from SEO2 on the video that I did to talk about the pots. And I guess there's some adjustments you can make on either of these to make them sound more alike each other. So I don't know, like on mine, it seems like you don't get much into the, especially if you've got some resonance cranked, you don't really start hitting that till you're almost all the way open on the filter. And that's just apparently how it's set on this one. And so there's some, it's probably going to vary from unit to unit, I'm guessing, on however they were set from the factory. And if you're a tinkerer and you want to get in there and start messing around with that kind of stuff, I'm sure you can probably get them to be fairly close. I haven't.
So there's probably a screwdriver pot next to the pot.
Yeah.
When you open the case up.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
And I don't know if somebody's done that. Let us know. Maybe someone can do it. I'm not going to open mine up. I'm not going to go there. But if somebody is willing to do that and post some videos, leave us some links down below. I'd be interested to see that as well.
Ditto.
Cool, man. CowFood,
all right, Marshall.
Thanks again, buddy. Appreciate you
You're
being
welcome.
here.
And have a great one. I will talk to you soon, man.
All right. Later, man.
All right.
Bye, folks. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And I'll have a link to CowFood's SoundCloud in the description as well if you'd like to check out some of his music. Please do.